But
Think so.
ladies and gentlemen, 6 o'clock, we'll go ahead and start with the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic, which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. So item up on the agenda is roll call. There are four members present tonight. It's totally not present. First item on the agenda tonight is considering approving the minutes from held from September 11th. I make a motion your people minute. Motion been made, seconded by Mr. Nutting, all in favor. Good, next item up. Consider some old business Woodstock Road, Mr. Boyd Stone, to present.
I do. So we talked about this at the last meeting at the library, I think it was, a couple months ago, I guess it was, and went through, what the attorney had told us, as far as this area, and just to kind of refresh everybody's memory. And, Joe Barney's here, by the way, too, he and his wife are looking at purchasing it, so if you remember, the Barneys purchased all this from Mantor, Estate. After Warren Mantor passed away, they already owned these two lots. And what they were looking at is a segment, actually the turnaround right here is not included, but they were looking at a segment right here to purchase from the town. Basically, my understanding, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, this 150-foot stretch, which is on an X map. Yeah, that one I think. So this stretch right here, based upon the Barneys, should have gone to them as part of this. And I think when everything was written up, basically they wrote up the deed for the Barneys, they missed this piece. And then the deed to the town basically said everything that's not included in the Barneys is now deeded to the town. So that's how this whole issue came into play. Is that accurate? Okay. So our attorney, we went back to them initially and we wanted to make sure, because this development was originally, subdivision was approved in 1978. Paper Street laws in the state of Maine say, I think it's after 15 years, basically everything reverts back to the center line of the road. Unless, according to our attorney, that the developer indicated that he has expressly wants to keep the interest of this road for future development. Initially, the attorney came to us and said, we can't find that letter that's supposed to be in the registry indicating that the developer, Mantor Corporation or Carriageway Estates or whatever the corporation time for more Mantor had indicated in the registry that he planned to keep this. However, one of the things we found out there is storm drain pipe in here, and these lots were still getting developed around it. So I think it's a legal issue, right? As far as what's included in paperwork versus the intent, right? So, so our attorney, so I went back, did some research, walked out on the site with Lisa after our last council meeting. We found, you go to that one, yeah, the picture, the pointer. So we found this storm drain system, this is Allagash, this is Woodstock Drive. So after it was developed, the DEP came in, I guess, some point in, 10 years later and said, there's an issue with stormwater. So DEP had them install the storm drain pipe out to what's now property of the Barneys. That is in place. I've seen it out there. Lisa and I walked out there. We looked at the catch basins out there. So I went back to the attorney, sent an email, sent this plan and saying, well, because Mantor's installed this, and the right of way is clear, there are lots being developed around it, wouldn't that really give an indication of intent that the developer intended to keep that right of way? And her comment, or read it. Her comment was, there has to be very clear indication that the developer retained all rights of the road. The existence of utilities in the road is not such an indication. Many roads have utilities in them, but that does not mean that the developer intended to retain any interest in that. I'm just an engineer, not a lawyer, but for me, I kind of looked at this, the utilities being in the street as intent that Mantor eventually intended to develop these before he sold them. So where we're at right now is we have two different options. I think the council has two different options. our attorney is basically saying, Kelly, can you go back to that one that showed the aerial image? Not that one. Yeah, so our attorney said, and I think we talked to the council about this, that based upon their indications of what they have for information, half of this right of way already belongs to the Barnes. So what our attorney recommended is town do a quick claim deed, basically relinquishing any rights the town might have for that half. That gets them that half of this 150 foot by 25 feet, basically. However, that leaves this 25 feet by 50 feet, 25 feet by 150 feet, I mean. In our attorney's, mind, it's possible, they don't know that for sure it is, but it's possible that the arsenal that this landowner owns to that zone. It's all based upon a piece of paper that is not in the registry. I guess for the record, I'll say, if you remember back a couple of years ago, when Mantor's estate was getting cleared up, Allagash Drive, Deer Run, Selden Lane, none of the deeds have been transferred over to the town, and the town has been plowing it for 30 years, right? So,
There is a quick claim deed.
for all those streets.
Mantor to the town for all of those streets. And it says all of Woodstock as depicted on the final plan of Carriageford Estates by Warren Mantor, recorded in the Kennebec County Registry of Deeds, plans file D 780 22, accepting that portion of Woodstock Road conveyed by Diane and Edward Mantor, co-trustees of Carriageford Estates, to Joseph Barney and Mr. Barney on November 4th, 2022, as recorded book page that. And then we have a book and page that also says, also conveying all rights, title, and interest of Carriageford Estates of the abutting paper street named as Woodstock Road that abuts the 7 lots, which are then for all those lots. So it's like,
So basically, our attorney is saying they're not 100% sure that, Mantor had the right to issue that to us because it may not have been Mantor to the beginning. That's the question, right? Common sense would tell you this is a mistake by a lawyer, right? I mean, if it's gone to the Barneys like originally, we wouldn't be talking right now, right? We wouldn't have spent the money.
Right, and, I'm from July. The original plan, when we did our sale agreement with the Mantors, we talked extensively about the turnaround portion. And it was in our plans to meet with the town and come up with whatever we needed to do to guarantee that you guys have that turnaround. And, now that the infrastructure that's come to light, Floyd and I talked the other day about having an easement, in case there's ever an issue with that drainage, that the town could do what they needed to do to repair it. Me personally, I think, just like Lloyd just said, this is basically a clerical error on their lawyer's part. We had all intent to buying, the 12 lots and all of Woodstock Road down to lot 41. Which is down on the other end where the 4 new houses have been built. Mantor himself is the one that installed the gate for us. Right, where Boyd is pointing. They installed it for us. I mean, well, why would they install a gate that wasn't intended to be on my property? You know, if it was truly, the ley line was truly down on the end of by 48, 47, the gate would have been installed there. But I mean, they installed the gate and moved all kinds of rocks for us. Yeah, like I said, it was just a mistake when they. Well, we just trying to correct that. We went to Diane and Eddie, and they went to their lawyers and started accumulating some money, some costs. And I don't know if you guys know what's going on with the Mann family, but they're funding on cats and dogs, and they said, well, we don't take any more cost on. Figure it out with that, and they kind of rushed us off at that point. So right now, I've spent, almost $5,000 for the town attorney to help look at this and try to fix this clerical error. And that's what we have today. We're trying to figure it out. Me personally, I think the paper street and splitting the property in half, isn't applicable because Manta still owned all this property. It was still a development in progress. I mean, and they just built 3 houses on Woodstock Road on the other end. So they were coming towards me. And so that was an active development. They also sold, a big piece of land called the common area to Dave Rhoda, and then he subsequently sold it to Nate Bernier. So they own that land. So,
That's all alligators.
and that's off Alligator, actually, in behind, about halfway up the road. So.
So there is a storm drain, as I said, that actually ties in from Allagash, goes down this and then dumps into the detention pond. That the detention pond is not the town's, but the storm drain system certainly is, because if we don't maintain a storm drain system, it's gonna back up on Allagash. So it is important. So one of the things I'd like to see, if we can get all this legal stuff resolved, is to make sure the town has rights to come in there and clear that out in perpetuity. So that way the town and the people up here are protected from the maintenance of that drainage system. Which is a separate matter, but it's kind of tied together. So I guess the bottom line is tonight here, you really get the council, I guess, we're looking for direction from the council as to where to go. Our lawyer is saying basically, an extensive title search would have to be done to prove that Manta originally had that. They estimated to us like $5,000, and they said this really shouldn't be done by the town's attorney, this should be done by Joe's attorney. As Joe had mentioned, he's already spent nearly $5,000 already on us trying to get this ironed out. So we have really a couple options, I guess, in my opinion. One is the town just issues a quick claim deed to the Barneys for this other half and see what happens. Probably nothing will happen, but obviously that would be going against legal counsel. The second option is, Kelly and I have talked about this, we've been willing to do this, is to meet with Miranda Arsenal, assuming she's still the one that owns this property, to see if we can get a quick claim deed from her to the town, relinquishing any rights that she might have to the town. And then we would then issue a quick claim deed for that to the Barney to clear everything up. Those are the two options, I guess, that I see. Kind of clear up this legal craziness, so, yeah.
It's one other thing I wanted to add, Boyd, Kelly and I spoke a little bit this morning, and, this, paper road and splitting the property may open up another big can of worms. And or you could say that is the corner lot down on Deer Run and Sullivan Lane. That house was there a long time before that road was put in.
Right.
So do they own half, out half into the road like the lawyer's saying is happening to me? Right.
Yep.
Going on.
Did you discuss with the lawyer, our lawyer? If the people who own 68, theoretically, when a road gets disbanded, they get, what street is it? Do they want it? And if they don't, would they do a quick claim deed? Why would the town have to be in the middle of getting it? A quick claim deed to them and then giving a quick claim.
Because we wouldn't necessarily have to be, they could do a quick claim deed to the Barneys for the same thing we're talking about.
And if they want to keep it, that, for us, I don't know if I want to go that's the legal advice where you got a homeowner on one side that also wants that property, which theoretically they would have on their normal service.
Yeah, paper streets, I know Waterville's got a ton of them. So the paper street issue comes into play when there's no road built on, right? So it's lawyer's very clear. I dealt with that before in the past. Basically, if it's wooded or something like that and it's part of a subdivision, nothing ever happens. then it reverts back after 15 years or whatever the date, the date's up. So it's very clear. The issue like this is you've got a subdivision, let's say Warren Mentor was still alive, he's got a subdivision road that he had planned to sell these lots. And maybe if the Barneys plan to eventually sell those lots, if this is split in half, they no longer have a right of way access to sell those lots. So it's, the whole paper street thing is just a mess, what I like, like did 10 years ago. Unless some of these situations where, granted, it wasn't developed, it had storm drain on it, which I thought might have made a difference, but the lawyer said no. It was cleared, so it looks like a right of way through there, but it doesn't meet the legal definition. So, that's what we're.
Four new houses put up.
on that.
So, to me, that was an active developing situation. But
It's a legal matter. That's what it boiled down to. And, well, yeah, so Don, to answer your question, I guess, Joe and his wife could go to Miranda and ask for a quick claim deed for the same thing to acquire that 25 by 150. The complication is Mantor deeded that to us, to the town. So there is a deed out there with the town's name on it that owns this 150 by 50 foot stretch. Well, we've already done 25, and so now it's 125. Lawyers saying it's just that not, a piece of paper in the registry is not there indicating Warren Mantor planned to keep that road, even though from common sense they moved it. Clearly. Plan. No. Probably it's clear as mud, but,
And I guess it's all in how you interpret the quitclaim deed, like I interpret it that. The Barneys bought that side, so they get to keep that, but then. We get the rest. All of Woodstock Row. Except that
Right.
portion.
Right, but what the lawyer was saying, I already own it, right?
potentially,
Right,
right? That's what they're saying. Potentially you owned it. But the evidence is not there that they could find that Warren actually owned Warren Manor. Had the right to deed it over to us. So potentially you owned it, but basically they're saying there's no proof that you did or didn't own it, so they're assuming because of that. That it goes to halfway, so if you follow their logic, yes, you would have already owned that 25 by 150 foot strip.
and then the quitclaim.
All right, so if we go by their logic, then he had no right to deed it to you guys in the first place.
That's their point, that's their whole point, so that's their whole point.
I just know what the intent was, when we met with these people in Manchester to buy it. We were buying the 12 lots and all of them to the street down to 41, where the new houses start. And so it was a clerical error.
Now it's way there. That's it.
I think that.
So where's the drainage
So the drainage.
underneath the portion that
Correct,
that he thinks he owns now?
yeah, it does run
So
down.
the town issued a quick claim to them and retained the right to, service the drainage should they need to. Then the town is done. And then it's up to him and Arsenal, right, to figure out the rest. Is that a solution that's possible, or
There's still gonna need to be some sort of title.
I can't hear you.
There's still gonna be some research done to find out who actually owns that before. They can give it to them.
Unless Arsenal does exactly what we just did, which is basically, we said, we filed at the council's direction in the last meeting. We basically filed a quitclaim deed with the Barneys to say, if we have any rights to this section, we're now giving that to you. So that's basically what you would be looking at.
So we never talked to the Arsenal? Or we don't know, are they local or are they?
We had not talked to them honestly, because we were waiting, trying to work through the legal part of it, so. I figured the storm drain would do it, but obviously
Could you just trace the storm drain again, just show that?
So basically it comes down,
Basically,
well, catch basin right here in the corner, it comes down this side,
on the top, you know, on the.
it's on this, on the Barney
The
side,
other scene that shows that all the lots. There.
this one. So it comes from here, down here, and then into one of these lots, it crosses over and there's a detention pond somewhere in here.
In the middle of that.
It's the middle of this lot. And that was required by DEP back in the. So.
And the bottom end. What's the step down or on the edge of that road?
So this house is built, there's a house on this lot, there's a house on this lot, here, here. Here, so all those are developed there.
Everything in green is what the
By
Barneys
Lane.
Park,
They're all connected by the deer run, random like.
Deer Run, Southern Lane, and then Woodstock does come up to here and there's a turnaround dead end, right?
The Barneys own everything in green. So all these lots. This makes sense that Woodstock Road is in there.
But we have a deed for that 25 feet by 100 from the Manters
Yes.
up top.
We have a deed for, actually, our deed refers to, it's very. It's not specific, it says basically it refers on the Barney's deed to this section. And then it says the town, everything else of Woodstock that's not included in that section. So it doesn't specifically say that, but that is the piece that. Is left out, because it doesn't specifically mention that piece in the Barney's deed.
Right.
So that is an option, Bob, what you were just saying, is that the town gets an easement. We've already done a quick claim deed to the Barneys, and the Barneys hopefully could do a quick claim deed for the Arsenals. With the town involved, we probably should also do a quick claim deed for that 25 feet, just in case we do have any rights to Barney get all, but that would have to be fully. Back to the Arsenal.
Angela?
So. When they first started at 41. Do they own all that road up until the graduate is saying that dissolved?
Right?
So they already own both sides of the road all the way up until it hits the grade.
They don't own this lot, but I believe in their deed, it refers to lot 41 up through 47 and then 51, so it specifically indicates the road sections that they own lots, so either on one side or the other. And it includes the Woodstock. So basically from here to there, in their deed is described as they own, or Manters is selling that to the Barneys. Which in reality, these ones that they own both sides, whether it's pictured or not, right, they own to the middle anyway, so.
And I already own 49, 48.
And the lawyer knew that they already owned the rest of the,
Yeah,
so see that.
everything we have that, and again, I'm just a lowly engineer, right? So when I look at this, I looked at the cleared right away, I looked at the utilities, I said, well, that seems to be pretty obvious. You know, standing on the face of the earth, seems pretty obvious that it's more Amanda plan to develop, right? But.
Ma'am?
Yeah, my name is Phil Runyon. I just a question here, from Paul is, has anyone looked at the original deed for the Arsenals? No.
Joe, did you, what she said?
Yeah, well, like yeah, they just have that small,
2550, right?
the 25, what's the one? Yeah, 2550, yes.
Yeah, and what year was, when they deeded that, and what was in the original deed they had? Saying not, being up here.
Oh, I don't think this was. My bet would be, I can't say I haven't looked at that deed, but my guess would be that was not included in the deed because they have frontage on Allegheny.
Right.
They would have no reason, and that was at the time, whenever they were sold that, I'm sure Warren thought, again, this is a road that he was planning to develop. So it would be very odd for the Arsenals to have any rights in that road in their deed, but I can't say that I've actually.
So if they don't, then there's no need for a quick claim,
No, it's because of the paper street law I made. Well, that's the issue, right? That trumps the deed.
Gone?
I just think that, you know, before we do anything, the Arsenal's, that's the one in that top. At least need to be in conversation, if we just go ahead and do this, then they come back later, it's like, that's not. don't we have the rights to that as well? And then we'd be another legal issue. I agree, I think
I agree.
somebody at Arsenal needs to be involved. And if they're willing to play ball, then we can solve the problem easily. If they're not, then from the town, I think we quit claim our portion. Keep the drainage and get out of the fight, and let the fight begin. It's across the street. Or discussion.
Is that a motion, sir? Mr. Nutting, is that a motion?
I move we table this and get input from the Arsenal. Second.
Motion made second, all in favor?
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Next item up, Berkeley and general assistance. Reporter,
So
sure.
do you have a copy, the first reading? This is something we do every October, so in October, they use some of the minimums. I think it is kind of strange to me that, food maximums last year were 292. I'm sorry, 291. This year, the maximums are 292. I still think that a lot of these that one person to have, that's to allow them in the budgets. I still think that's kind of low. When you're looking at heating fuel, I mean, they're going the same amount of gallons, so it's just gonna end up being the price of the gallon. However, they did increase the housing maximums, so, for example, you look at the 0 and 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. For instance, for a 1 bedroom, they used to be at 882, so they jumped that up to 927. So they didn't make any, amendments to the personal care, household supplies, those types of things. I think that at least the housing maximum got bumped enough so that will help a lot of people if they're applying to general assistance, that hopefully they're going to be within guidelines that the state is giving us. So it's just an ordinary practice that we have to do every year when MMA comes up and redoes the ordinance and comes up with these maximums. So first reading is required, and then once we have a second reading, then it will become effective.
I'd make a motion, we accept this as our first reading of the updated general assistance. Motion made. Second by Mr. Bowman, all in favor? Cascade storage building discussion.
Yeah, so we met there, earlier at 5:20. You saw the damage, Dawn went on another day, sorry. John Cox made a good point that the dirt was right up against the sill, which probably rotted the wood, makes sense. The other backside of the property, there was, I don't know, 2 feet before it hit the earth. So that wasn't rotted. We have $4,000 in the budget this year to possibly redo the roof now. AJ said they could put a Band-Aid on the rotten wood in the front, and we're gonna assume it's on the side of Railroad Ave where the earth is up to the wood. And then budget for it. It's a beautiful building, it's big. Holds our stuff, I mean, it's a decision, we could rent a couple Connex boxes and put everything in that, tear it down, I mean, it's.
We probably have to have about 3 Connex boxes, so they can, so that each one costing about $3,000 a piece.
Yeah, so for,
Where we can spend $4,000 to do the room. A couple $1,000 to bandage the front of it up for now, for hold it for the winter, without packing any gravel up against it when we do.
right, then come up with some sort of design where the earth is not right up to the building, but it needs to be some air and some space somehow.
Well,
Do we have, do they come up with any estimated cost for what? It might cost the sills. A lot of wood,
He did, $25,000 to fix what's there now. Um. They could put a Band-Aid in with just some new beams on the front portion of it. It's not gonna go anywhere, but you can't leave it like it is now, where it's all dug out, it's a hazard, it's dangerous, didn't. Can't get in the door.
so is it imperative that we do that immediately as opposed to in 6 months in the spring? I'm just thinking out loud. If we're gonna have to do it at some point, what's the best time to do it? If we have a contract with somebody to start it, we can spend up to 10,000
Without a meeting,
without meeting.
if it's not budgeted.
Right,
Yeah.
so maybe, we can start it at some particular point, get the most of it done, rather than put names on it. And say, okay, we're gonna do that with 10,000 now, and then finish it up come next August.
Would the money come out of fund balance?
I guess that would be something.
Too, this is. The 4,000 is budgeted.
all right,
Yeah.
Kelly, who did you get the bid from?
All right.
D&D services.
Who is it?
D&D services. They would replace the sills and beams. Support the floor, take the rot beam out.
We have a couple others right here in town also that are exactly in movement. I think my suggestion is we vote on the roof tonight and get the roof done, because that has to be done. And then I'll give you a list of a couple other people that are right here in town that do jack and movement. And we can contact those people, see if they'll come over and take a look at it. Or I'll contact them myself tonight, go from there.
I'll have AJ do it.
Yep, I can contact AJ, I'll call him in the morning.
Well, I agree, I think we need to do the roof. They dug down and exposed the beams and I think they could do more at some point to grade that drainage.
Yeah.
So that it moves that down into the swamp. And the building is not gonna go anywhere between now and next year's budget. They can try patching it if they want. Or if we fix the roof, the building's not going anywhere to do the other thing. I think it's worth saving.
It's a beautiful building.
Ma'am?
Yeah, question. And I was just wondering, the damage, would you say that the damage was as a result of the several big storms that we had, like December and January?
I mean, last summer it rained every day, so that bog was high, the water came in. Plus the earth, there's no place for it to drain. It was packed dirt right up against the sill.
I was just wondering, like, qualify for any of the federal disaster money. You know, state and federal disaster money, if it happened, it was noticed after a particular storm that, pushed up a lot of water or.
I wouldn't think.
The building's probably had a few storms here.
It's 142 years old. So it's
If you don't, which fine one.
still stands.
That's what I got. I've never actually get into the building.
just the moisture from the soil and stuff that was touching the building. There's never any water get up onto the building, never got that high.
Just wondering if we might qualify as a state or federal, you know.
So Mr. Dunning was in
It's old,
the,
it's old. Does it come under, historical grant?
No.
Historical grant?
There's been too many repairs done to the building with vinyl siding and metal windows and different things done to it that I don't think you get any historical money for it. I don't believe you would anyway, you have to, the work that's been done to it.
Mr. Dunning was in most,
Trying to figure out.
My motion is that we fix the roof and then. Like AJ either. See what he can do. See what he can do, or if he can't. Don't worry about it, it'll be there in the spring.
motions were made before, second. Angela had a question.
I was wondering, if we could roof on, and then, I mean, if we seals the jacket, will go on the roof?
The
No,
building's pretty solid, pretty straight. This is, some of the beams get rust.
Covered with that jacket, that's, you know what I'm saying.
it's a metal roof.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Motions were made, second by Mr. Riddle. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the manager's report talking about Worthley House over here and the Cascade property, man.
So we are closing on Candy, Friday at 1. Have to go get a certified bank check tomorrow and for that. We're gonna take $180,000 out of the municipal building fund, and then it cost about $2,000 for title search and Bob Martin's time, and development of the contract, and so I'm gonna take that out of administration, legal fees, we do have money available this year. I just wanted to give you a heads up, we did walk through it, it's empty. Ready to go. Since Jeff has done the landfill project today, they finished up seeding and haying, and so they're done with that. He's gonna open up a cell in the landfill building. And I do have a letter from the state, there's no asbestos or lead paint, so. We are good, and I think we've gotten everything metal out of the house. Before, David had friends over there, so. Cleaned it all up and it looks pretty empty. Cascade Mill, yes.
Jeff's plan going forward for demolition this year was, I don't know, is he thinking it's fall, or is he
Yeah.
thinking by the end of October?
It's gonna be Jan's retirement present. So that she can look right down. Thanks.
He'll be finished by snowfall at that point.
Yeah, it should be finished by November. So it'll take him 3 or 4 days to open up a cell in the landfill. And then I know they have to start hauling sand, but they can have that down in a week. And I think Adam Mujero is gonna help, cause he has the really big excavator. And then we pay for his diesel or we let him fill up on things. But he does it for free. I does it for diesel. Any more questions on that? Cascadeville property. I know that the Ware Butler, Nate got in touch with Ware Butler. On their building where all the rocks were thrown through the windows, they're gonna come down and board it up and. Probably get some sort of camera security system down there. I did fill out an application to do a brownfield assessment. With the state and talk with Chris Redmond from UP and 2 other people from the brownfield. They are willing to do the assessment. They did a big cleanup back in 2007, took care of old tanks that were full of something, some sort of oil. They did discover there was about a 10-foot soil section under the smokestack that was petroleum, which is really hard to get rid of. So they know of that. I asked them, why do we need to disturb the land? Or the soil, there's a class A stream right next to it. If we could just get rid of the building, take the buildings down and make it a green space and have, you know, put a park or a railing up on the edge of the water and you can fish there. Just, it's a hazard now. I said, somebody's going to die down there. People are going in there with Halloween costumes and taking videos, pictures, and it's a mess. So he said, give me 2 weeks, come up, do an assessment, there's money available. He goes, I guess the town had applied for a brownfield back when Peter Nielsen was here. And then it was discovered the town didn't own property. So they give the money back, but DEP cleaned it up anyway. Really nice of them. I told them that the town could take ownership. Through foreclosure process, through taxes, because there's back taxes, there's $35,000 taxes that haven't been paid. So. I said, if we knew we could have a partnership to clean this up together, the town, I could probably convince the council to take ownership of that property. But then we're not sure if CMP owns the land. And then it's just the buildings that they don't own. There was some weird transfer with Nestlonsky Hydro and, but he said that they would do a title search during the assessment. They could use that money for a search. I said, we don't have the money in our budget for a title search to see who owns that. Because the last people we know who owns it is Cascade Properties LLC, which no longer exists. So. Just an update, stay tuned. Yeah.
One of the things that I would, maybe suggest prior to even. Then going not to assess it, there are probably 4 or 5 abandoned boats. There are, we had a homeless person living in a tent down there. A lot of clothing, plastic bag, there was a fire that somebody set a little pot on fire right in the middle of what would be a beautiful fishing area. And a lot of that stuff, again, I would suggest if we can, get our feet down there, take those things away so that it doesn't invite more dumping and they have a little tree across the water right now that's got a rope. And people obviously go across the tree to get from one side to another, just over fun. And reading it all like. So it's not safe, so.
We don't own it, so not yet.
But we do we have a trail on the other side.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if that trail, people come down to that tree, it just is. I guess my thought is better to get rid of some of that stuff than just.
We could maybe invite the local, scrap yards to come in. There's tons of metal there, but it's,
Oh, yeah.
do that, I don't know. We don't own it.
Nobody does.
Nobody owns it.
LLCs, a business that is no longer existing and they own 90%.
Years ago, why the town didn't want to get involved in the ownership was the liability of the environmental hazard, the safety hazard, and all the hazards that come with it. We don't own it, so we're not liable for people getting hurt down there, and it's a real hazard down there. Those old brick buildings are wide open, you can see where people have been going in and out, playing in there, and it's a real hazard down there, but we don't own it, so it's not the town's liability, so that certainly needs to be looked into before we take any ownership of anything down there, but it needs to be cleaned up, it's a disgrace down there.
It is, and
It's right beside the
He
stream.
understands that.
It's a very historic site down there. To go down there to be able to look up the river and see the cascade where all the mills in Oakland got started there. And, it's not safe to be in there right now, but I would think with those old buildings knocked down, that it could be made safe to have an open space there for somebody to fish or enjoy the stream or whatever.
Have a kayak launch.
But
Right now, they go in through Jeff's property or Lloyd's property and launch kayaks. So this.
And we do abut that property. Jeff's whole
Yeah.
complex up there is the northern border of Utah.
So stay tuned. I talked to them on last Thursday. So we said 2 weeks. Boyd's gonna kind of be involved. Hold my hand. This is all new to me, so but it's exciting. I love it. I love it. It's could be so, yeah.
So that's one question for the clarification. So we're gonna apply the paper street rules of the lawyer himself, for this remaining piece of property that I'm looking at. But we're not gonna apply that paper street law to the deed that Manton gave you guys that shouldn't have gave you guys because by the paper street law, I already owned it. And Randall owned it, that whole piece. Is that correct?
Well, kind of, I mean, the quick claim deed that, then Kelly gave you the council director basically says, if we have any rights at all in that 25 foot by 150. We no longer have them, we give it to you, so that kind of cleared the thing,
Well, it's not. Yeah,
the quick claim deed to you.
right, but you're not giving me, I already own it by what the lawyer is.
The lawyers are saying it's possible that, so they're not saying 100%.
Well, it's gotta be one way or the other, you know.
See, I'm interpreting it as you own this house. Cause this is all we're talking about right here. And then because it's an abandoned road, you own this because you bought both sides, so you own everything up here. And then you own this side because you already own those. And then Miranda owns this side 25 feet. So,
Right, all the way out to Allegash Drive.
right. Which is, yeah,
So that would affect the turnaround.
Possibly. That's what I'm saying, is that the lawyer said, in order to tell that 100%, you have to do a $5,000 title search. So what they're saying is, we don't have that information, so we can tell the town definitively, you are okay to sell it to the buyers. That's what the lawyer's saying. So basically, they're saying, we don't have all that documentation. So if it is a paper street and the paper street rules came into effect, you could just do a quick claim deed to the Barneys, which is what we did, and that clears up that side. But it doesn't clear up the.
Well, I don't, it only clears up. It doesn't clear all the way from 47 all the way up Allegash. With what David Street is saying that I would already own.
The difference, like I said before in the meetings with you, is the paper street law says if there's no road on it, there is a turnaround on that section. That's why we're not including the first 450. If there's a road on it, then that's the lawyer's thoughts are, that means ownership is retained. If there's no road, if
Okay,
there's utilities,
so with that said, the paper street. Mumbo jumbo shouldn't even apply.
on the stretch where the road is already built, that's correct.
Well, why would it not apply there, but apply on the next half of the thought? You know, it's gonna apply to all of it on.
I didn't make.
No, I know, I'm not trying to give you a hard time, I'm trying to understand how we can apply it to one section of that law, but not the other section. Like I said, it could be as simple as that little piece of the turnaround. Give it to me like it was supposed to be done, and we'd be all done. And Lisa and I will grant the easement for you guys to do whatever you need to do for the infrastructure. It's a done deal. The whole big street, I think, is getting all convoluted, yeah. Like I said, we can't apply it on one part.
really, it's not a whole road. It was never. Yeah, I don't know. It's confusing.
Did you have anything more on your?
No,
This moment, you have anything?
No,
Another,
no, I don't.
all set, all set. Okay, what you were there.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All favor? Thank you. How much?
30 minutes, by accident.
Thank you all for your time.